Texas now, joined at the desk by our very own East Texas Now reporter, JD Conte. Once again, you were in court all day. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so Dusty Caldwell, a man from Oklahoma, the last of 3 men to be sentenced in the case of selling ivory tusks from African elephants in federal court right here in Tyler in the Eastern District of East Texas. He was sentenced to 1 year in federal prison today, and there's some interesting facts in this case. 3 men from Oklahoma came to sell ivory tusks from African elephants to an undercover agent here in Tyler. It was an agent from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. They obviously didn't know who they were talking to. There were 3 men in this case. One of them was the negotiator, who was Caldwell in this case. One of them was just a driver, and then there was another guy who's in on it. So they meet up with this guy in Tyler. He reveals there's an agent, and then this happened in 2021, I believe, and today Caldwell is the last man to be sentenced. So a very interesting case, one of those unique cases that you see. Obviously, elephants are an endangered species. They were charged with violating the Endangered Species Act. We actually talked with people at the Caldwell Zoo today who, talk about this issue all the time, and it's one of those unique cases that you see, and it's here in East Texas.
Now, so they're just being charged with trafficking, I guess you could say. What's the exact
violation
charge?
of the Endangered Species Act, and then it's conspiracy to transport wildlife across state lines, I believe, is the exact charge.
So they're not being charged with killing an elephant
No.
and using it
The
for
prosecutors
tusks?
don't actually believe they know how they came in to possess the ivory. They're being charged with selling it. That's a crime. It's a violation of the Endangered Species Act. So they're charged with two separate things.
Okay, and what did they end up deciding? What did the judge sentence them to?
It was a year in prison, which is actually the lower end of this case. The judge talked about it that Caldwell's actually been on the better end of this. His family was in court today, so he's in possession of 2 out of his 4 daughters, I believe. He's been clean. He's had drug problems in the past, so he actually got a lower end of the sentencing. But the judge also talked about how serious of a crime this is.
Yeah.
Elephants are an endangered species. On the 6 o'clock news tonight, you'll see people from the Caldwell Zoo talk about how much of a problem this is. Elephants in the wild right now, they're actually growing shorter tusks now, because if you have a longer tusk, then poachers are going to come and kill you. So you're seeing some really quick evolution over the past 50, 100, 200 years as people are going into the African savanna and killing these animals.
So what was the reaction in the courtroom? Was it a shock that he got such a low end of the sentencing? What was that reaction like?
I wouldn't say it was a shock, because Caldwell actually did speak to the judge on his behalf, and his defense lawyer, I would say, did a pretty good job of talking about, he's been pretty clean since this. He's had a troubled past, but then the federal prosecutor was also, hey, this is a serious crime. So I would say it's the output I would have expected, sitting in that courtroom. So yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, JD, anything else you want to add?
Nope, you can watch more on the 6 o'clock news tonight.
Alrighty, thanks once again, JD Conte. Let's go ahead.